Good afternoon. Welcome everyone to episode 9 of the Abbeycare Listen Up podcast. And today on the podcast, we'd like to welcome Gayle Brannigan. Gayle's the CEO of the St Mirren Charitable Foundation. On September the 5th, Abbeycare, in partnership with the St Mirren Charitable Foundation, the Recovery Collective and Renfrewshire Alcohol and Drug Partnership, launched the Abbeycare Buddies Recovery and Wellbeing Hub at St Mirren Stadium. So welcome, Gayle, and thank you for coming on today's show.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm delighted to be here.
It's great to have you. Okay, so just first up, Gayle, you're the CEO of the St Mirren Charitable Foundation.
I am.
Can you tell us a wee bit of what work St Mirren Charitable Foundation does?
I can, yeah. The foundation is the club's official charity. And some people may know this, but I'm probably guessing it's a small amount of the population that all the football clubs have a charity.
Yeah.
There's over 100 great football charities in Scotland, actually, but St Mirren, for whatever reason, hadn't launched one. And then nearly 8 years ago now, I was the chief exec of another organisation, and I was having some conversations with the club because actually I started my career at Love Street when I was 17. I'm not going to tell you what year that was. It was a long time ago. But in a very different way. I was an athlete then, and I used to train the players.
Okay.
So I was having conversations with the club. I had created a kind of a corporate partnership in my then job, and I was feeling really unfulfilled at that point in my life. And Tony Fitzpatrick, who was the chief exec of the club at the time, and Tony's a great friend of mine and someone who I really respect and admire. We met when I first worked at Love Street. So I've known him since I was 17, 18. And he said to me, what are you thinking about for the future? What are you going to be doing in the next 5 years? And round about the same time, my post ended the very same day when I was kind of walking out of the offices and thinking about what my future may hold. I got a call from Tony to say, how's your day going? I went, well, funny you ask. Things have changed. And he's like, great, I want to speak to you about a potential opportunity. And the club had been thinking about launching a charity for some period of time. Legally, it was already set up with Oscar, but nothing had been delivered, no work had been delivered in the community because they felt they needed the right person to drive it forward. And it's incredibly it's incredibly challenging to run any business from scratch, but to start a charity from scratch in the third sector it's a really different landscape. You've got to be determined, and you have to be resilient. You have to be able to take rejection well. Yeah. But I actually said no at the time. I said, no, I want to live for a little while. I don't want to make any rush decisions. But they kept coming back. And every time they came back, another seed was planted. And I'm from Paisley. It's my town. I'm from Seattle, which is a disadvantaged community. My dad was from Fergusley. So every time he spoke to me about it, I could see the potential. And I started to really do a lot of research on what football charities do for their communities. And I was honestly astonished. I've been a sports fan my whole life and a football fan my whole life. And I didn't know the level of work that these organisations did. So I said yes. And we hit the ground running 7 years ago now, in 2018, just before Christmas. And we focus on key social issues. So mental fitness, so developing healthy minds, physical health and wellbeing, inspiring our youth with all of our children's projects, bringing people together, so community connection, poverty, trauma, and as you know, recovery is a very personal part of that for me. And we deliver over 26 community programmes now per week. Wow. So effectively we're supporting 20,000 people in the community. So that's in Paisley and Renfrewshire. We can't go out with that. And it's incredibly rewarding. It's amazing. And we have, so even just now, like our great partnership, which we'll talk about, is something that we love and we immediately see the impact of. But particularly at this time of year, one of our most popular projects and initiatives is all of the Festive initiatives. So we have a lot of events. So for example, we look after a lot of elderly people at this time of year. So we have different tea parties and events in the stadium for our dementia and Alzheimer's clients. But everything really culminates and builds up to what we do on Christmas Day with Festive Buddies and Festive Friends. So now on a Christmas day. We're genuinely in the stadium from about 5 a.m. We're cooking all the meals. So we deliver hot meals, food hampers and gifts to over 500 homes in the community on Christmas Day. And it's predominantly to elderly people who are lonely and isolated, so without families. But more so now, a lot of the referrals that are coming through are from families that are living with real crisis.
Yeah.
And that's really sad to see, but it's the reality of our day-to-day lives. And that's not just post-pandemic. The situation's always been there. So when people say, oh, post-pandemic, everyone's struggling more financially, everybody was always struggling financially. So that's something we as a nation have to look at. But this time of the year is very rewarding.
Yeah.
It's inspiring. Christmas Day is incredibly special because it shows you the best of people. Because genuinely, I'll open up the club at 5 a.m. and at 11 o'clock when we're doing the team talk, 150 fans will come in to volunteer in the day.
Wow.
And we can't do it without them. So they're delivering all of these meals, hampers, gifts. It's very special, but it is challenging because when you decide to do that, a lot of other organisations will have their events before Christmas. They don't actually do anything on Christmas Day because rightly so they feel that's their time to rest and spend with their families. And some of the few who do initiatives on Christmas Day, they'll put on an event. But when you're actually going to people's homes and seeing how they're living or just surviving, as the case may be, and what they're coping with and how else they may need help, it can be quite traumatic for people. And it's a very emotive day, but it's really worthwhile. So that's kind of what I'm working on, apart from what we do together just now, because that's something that I'm really enjoying. That's where my energy's at the moment, all of the festive stuff.
I'm just kind of laughing because obviously we're going to speak about it when we only launched the Abbeycare buddies in the start of September, but myself and yourselves have been talking about it. And I remember phoning you last year at Christmas time.
I know.
And you were like, Eddie, I'm chasing up 100 turkeys here.
We've got a bit of an issue.
She's like, phone us back in January.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But what you're saying there regarding football clubs and their input into community and how important that is, because without that charity work, as you say, these people are out there really struggling and maybe not seen or heard. And Christmas Day as well can open in your doors as well. As much as a lot of us celebrate that Christmas Day and it's about amounts of food and stuff like that, there's people out there really, really struggling, you know, and you don't get to see that firsthand unless you're involved in the kind of work that you guys are involved in. And I just think it's an amazing gesture as well. And from an Abbeycare perspective as well, we understand that we need to be there Christmas Day, New Year's Day, because things don't change in addiction and recovery because of a certain date. And
as we know, that time of the year is more challenging for people who are dealing with their issues with dependency or they're in recovery. It's a very triggering time of year.
Yeah.
It's a time where you focus on your loved ones, you focus on your family. But there's a lot of people that didn't have a good time at Christmas.
Totally.
There's a lot of people that don't have nice memories of Christmas, of New Year. In our culture, it's a time where we are consuming alcohol or other more. And that is a real challenge for people in recovery. And it can be a time where emotionally people feel under pressure financially and in lots of other ways. And we have to keep that in mind. I think that's why it's so important that we all give back as much as we can. Every Christmas I'm in the stadium and I love it and I wouldn't be anywhere else.
Brilliant, Gayle. Okay, so what interested you in Abbeycare's proposal regarding the Recovery and Wellbeing Hub when we first approached you, Gayle? What was your thoughts?
I think I was going to laugh there because I remember you saying when we launched the Recovery Hub, she took ages to get back to me. She was palming me off for ages. And it wasn't really that at all. It was, I like to take my time over a partner.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is I don't believe in doing something as a tick box exercise in any area. But when it comes to recovery, because it is something I'm so invested in, I really had to make sure that I knew more about Abbeycare, and I didn't at the time.
Yeah.
I wanted to do my due diligence. I wanted to find out more about you and your team. Come to the facility and witness some of the services live in action, so the live show, so to speak. because I wanted that partnership to be purposeful, and also I wanted to know that we were aligned as organisations. And once I trusted that, as I do now, I really trust that now, I knew then we'd be able to do something different. I didn't want it to be the same as everywhere else. I wanted it to be something really special, and I feel we've achieved that for today.
Yeah, so far.
Yeah, so far.
Yeah, it's been really good experience. But when you were speaking there about at the launch night, it was an amazing turnout, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And there was sometimes, and I know you're going to go on to speak about your own kind of journey and stuff, and for myself, somebody in recovery, there's nights in recovery meetings and kind of groups where there's a real energy in a room, and I totally believe that was there that night on our launch night, you know, with a lot of services along from the Renfrewshire area. Yourselves were present, we were present, you know, a lot of kind of just the general public from Paisley as well came together, and it was a really kind of powerful night, you know, I would say. And sometimes I need to experience that to have faith that, okay, what we're doing here is working. And it was only the launch night, and things have went well so far. So I think when both of us went up and spoke on that night, you were speaking on behalf of St Mirren, I was speaking on behalf of Abbeycare. The first time you asked me along to St Mirren, you took me into your office, and I think you had a couple of your colleagues there, and you just sat me down and says, right, tell me your story, as in, i.e., what's your experience of addiction and stuff. And I just felt you could go to other places, approach other places, and there would be no real investment in that part of it. It would just be, right, okay, what we're going to provide here, and very practical, you know, but you wanted to know a wee bit about my own experience, my own kind of views on recovery and addiction and stuff, and I found that very... Some people would feel pressure from that, but I felt as if straight away I got a wee bit of understanding of what kind of person you were, and I really admired that. I admired the fact that you wanted to hear my take on things as well, Gayle. So you're going to tell us a wee bit about what's your kind of experience, what's your tie into addiction, recovery, what does that look like?
It's very personal. I come from a big family, so there are quite a few brothers and sisters, and my big brother, who sadly passed last year, he, in his words, would be a functional alcoholic. And he was an incredible guy, and he didn't pass in association with that. He just had a tragic and unexpected accident and died instantly. But so that was one part of it, Willie, my big brother. But the second part of that is my younger brother, who is in the throes of dependency, alcohol dependency. And watching someone that you really, really love go through this illness and watch how that illness impacts them in every way, physiologically, psychologically, emotionally. It's very traumatic. Yeah. And I think in our society and the culture that we have in Scotland, and that's not just related to us, but it is a culture that encourages you to actively drink. And I remember thinking, I wonder how difficult that must be. And I then became very invested in learning as much as possible about the conditions, about dependency, whether it be alcohol or other, about recovery. And because I wanted to better understand what was happening to my brother. Because there were certain times that I felt I was really struggling with it and feeling very frustrated and powerless, and watching the impact it has on the family in general, my mum and everyone else. I feel that drinking is a thinking disease, and it's also a family illness. It doesn't just impact on the individual, because I think that's perhaps something that they may struggle to accept until you're in recovery. You know that now. Yeah. But when you were going through your illness, when you were ill, I bet you didn't really appreciate how that was impacting on your dad or other members of your family. And they don't see that. Like, but I'm not hurting Andy. But watching someone you really love really hurt themselves is awful. Yeah. It's actually one of the worst things I think I've ever witnessed.
I think,
It's very cruel.
yeah,
And for me, it was important. I wanted to have as good a relationship as I can have with my brothers. Much easier with Willie. But with my younger brother, I'm very, 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 very close to him. And I felt that if I didn't do something to help me with that, we couldn't have a healthy relationship that wasn't detrimental to me.
yeah.
And so I became a member of the fellowship and have been now for some years.
Yeah. So the fellowship you speak about is Anon.
Yes.
So do you mind telling us a wee bit about what is Anon for maybe people that's listening that don't know such a support exists and what that kind of looks like for you?
Of course, Anon is a support system for the family and loved ones of alcoholics. And it's an incredible organisation, and much like AA and NA and CA and all the other organisations, it's through attraction. So it's not advertised anywhere.
Yeah.
It's something that someone will tell you about. And I firmly believe that there aren't many people, as we know, whose lives have not been touched either directly or indirectly by dependency.
Yeah.
Whether they're honest about that or not is another thing. And I just knew that I wasn't just dealing with this over the years. I'd been to Al-Anon before, but at that time I think my motivations were wrong. It was more about, I need to understand what's happening with my brothers. I need to understand this. But my motivation was kind of them.
Yeah.
And if I'm honest, at the very, very beginning, I was that naive. I think I was thinking they'll give me the answers as to how I can help them stop.
Yeah.
Whereas last year, when Willie died, it triggered a lot of trauma for me. And I had to really look at that, as it did for all of us. It did that for all of us. It was incredibly sudden and traumatic the way he died. And then my motivations became about, I need something for me. I need somewhere I can go that people will understand what I'm feeling, and there's no judgment, and it's entirely confidential, and it's a safe space, and I can say whatever I want. And that really is Al-Anon for me. And the rooms of Al-Anon and the groups, they're everywhere. So if you want to find out about Al-Anon, you search for that, and you put in your postcode, and it'll give you the locations of meetings around about you.
Yeah.
The meetings are entirely free. I don't think you'll receive a warmer welcome anywhere you go, and you'll be able to confirm this with your recovery. When you walk into those rooms, it's just kindness that you're met with. And it's invaluable to me. And I genuinely attend a minimum of 2-3 meetings a week, every week. And that's a non-negotiable for me. And that's something I really, really value, and is bringing real joy to my life, because you can get lost sometimes in thinking nobody's going to understand what I'm going through, and being in the depths of despair, if you see, which is the stage just now where my brother's illness is progressing.
Yeah.
And you can kind of feel yourself go off balance with that initially, but if you just stay consistent and work your programme and attend your meetings, it really helps. But in all aspects of life, it helps me with my decision making in every area. It helps me feel balanced. It helps me to stay on a level playing field and not be reactive. It helps me to have a lot more empathy with people, and to really see people as much as I can. And I'm hoping that it's helping me to become the person that I eventually want to be, that I'm working towards. So I actively encourage as many people as possible to seek that support.
Yeah. I mean, I've been going to fellowship meetings, recovery meetings for over 12 years now on a regular basis for myself, my own recovery. But I think the most powerful shares I've ever heard was the meetings I went along to, perhaps an AA meeting where it was celebrating a birthday, and there was an Al-Anon share as well as an AA share, and it really does give people like myself, who was a early addict, a different perception of the effects. And I always speak about it as that one addict, the ripple effect from that person throughout their family, throughout their community, throughout a negative ripple effect it has on people. But when people can achieve recovery, you can have a positive ripple effect through that same family, and make amends to your community and people you've hurt. But I always remember my dad saying to me, it's all right for me when I was in addiction, because I was getting stoned, I was getting high, I was getting drunk, and the family's left there sitting with the raw emotions of worry, the sleepless nights, etc. and stuff like that. And that was something that really made me think, because families can carry a lot of shame regarding having a loved one who's an addict, and that's a stigma that's in society, isn't it? And sometimes you find, certainly in my experience working in this field and stuff, the families don't like even telling people close to them about the extent of it, because it feels as if there might be a bit of disloyalty to the family member who's struggling, or it's something that people should be ashamed of. And we really need to get the message out there that it's okay to speak about people with addiction, because, as you said, somebody will have a family member that's an addict or an alcoholic, that they struggle to work with. And you're right regarding Alan. We run a family group at Abbeycare, and the relief that you see when people get together, other families, and share their experience of their struggles. It starts a process of them trying to heal as well. It doesn't mean that they're going to control what their loved one's substance use is like, but it certainly helps them connect with other people. And we really need to carry that message of the family support in places like Anon as well, to get people the same as you, Gayle, get that kind of help. And it, like you were speaking about, the benefits that brings to your full life. It's not just about the addiction part of it. There's so many other benefits that brings, that connection, the ability to share honestly with other people. Everybody needs to do that, no matter what kind of walk of life they come from.
I think also it's the discipline.
Yeah.
Because for me, like, I don't know if you guys are the same. Everybody talks about the big book, the 12 steps.
Yeah.
So we have our 12 steps and 12 traditions, and there are different pieces of Al-Anon approved literature that we read. So I have a couple of little books that I'll read each day, one day at a time, encouraged to change. And even that discipline of every morning having that quiet moment to read today's reading. But whatever's in the reading, it always hits home in some way, and it's not always about the situation. Sometimes it's about anger, sometimes it's about gratitude, sometimes it's about love, sometimes there are different subjects of each day, and they give you perspective and balance. And exactly like you touched on there, where some of the most powerful meetings you've gone to have been when you've had Al-Anon speakers. That works for us. So I think it's not healthy to go to the same types of meetings all the time and only hear the same perspective. And the groups, the Al-Anon meetings that I go to are very passionate and consistent with once a month they have an AA speaker. And when there's an AA speaker, it has the same effect, because you immediately are listening to someone who has that lived experience, who has gone through it, and who very honestly will explain their thinking, how they felt in the depths of that, what was going through their mind. And that gives you a deeper understanding and empathy for your loved one. But also what it gives you is what you can lose often in this circumstance, which is hope. And every time I hear an AA speaker, it gives me hope that maybe you'll get recovery. And we hope for that every day. And that's invaluable. And it is so powerful, and it's so brave and courageous of people. Like every Wednesday night when we're at the hub and I'm listening to your speaker share, I always leave feeling lifted, feeling a little bit lighter, feeling a little bit more hopeful. Just for today, I feel a little bit more hopeful. And that's all you can do. It's one day at a time. So that works both ways. I think all of the fellowships can only bring good to your life for whoever's attending them. And they're really not spoken about enough. But that's because it is about attraction.
So we're quite excited that we came to agreement as well that we're going to regularly bring in an Al-Anon share to the hub
Yeah.
as well, to let the people in there hear that side of it as well. So
First one's tomorrow.
yeah, so that's going to be great. So with your experience of going to Al-Anon and obviously your experience with your kind of brothers and stuff like that, what kind of advice would you give to maybe a family member that's listening to the show today who's maybe in that place where they haven't reached out, they don't know where to reach out, they're maybe experiencing some kind of shame round about their predicament because they're maybe not coping with the alcoholic or with the addict? What kind of advice would you give to someone who's maybe listening where to start that kind of journey into recovery?
I think the most important piece of advice I would give them is to ask for help. Whether you're asking your GP for help, whether you're a person of faith and you're asking your church for help, whether you're asking a family member for help, it's important that for anyone who's in that situation, they talk about it. I remember going to a meeting about 6 weeks ago, and it still sits with me, this meeting, because the subject of the meeting was secrets and worries.
Yeah.
And when people were sharing in that, a lot of it was about how they were so frightened to talk about what was going on in their homes. Because as we know, sometimes it's not good. But again, I would say you're not alone. The most important thing is you are not alone. And I've felt, and historically not now, but I've watched my mum in this position and other siblings of mine feel nobody's going to understand what we're going through.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right, and feel the associated shame that comes with that or embarrassment. But I would only reassure those people that these fellowships, as we've mentioned, are entirely anonymous.
Yeah.
What you say in those rooms stays in those rooms. Nobody breaks that rule. And every single person in those rooms understands exactly what you're going through and has gone through that already in some way or another.
Yeah.
And I would actively encourage as many people as possible to search for Al-Anon, to search for whatever they need support with, to just take that first step, because it is the first step in changing your life and genuinely moving towards a place where you have support for you. And it sounds contradictory, but it's not about your loved one, because we don't want to admit this, but that person that you love so much has an illness, but you have an illness. Like, you're mentally not well because of this situation. You're emotionally not well because of this situation. So actually, it's you that needs help, because you're at your wit's end. You're no sleeping. You're not well with the stress of it all. You don't have the coping mechanisms or tools. You don't have the information. And if you reach out, it will only benefit you. And if one person in the family gets help, all of the family benefits. And it's easy for me to say that because I work my programme and I'm a member. But I remember my friend who recommended me to Anon telling me this, and I didn't believe him. I was like, right, that's not going to work. I don't believe that. And genuinely was astonished at what was revealed in those rooms and how everybody was exactly the same. No stigma, no shame, just love and kindness. So that's something that I think all of us need to experience more.
Totally.
Love and kindness, regardless
and
of what they're dealing with.
That's what I always think about all the fellowships. It's so unique to the rest of the way society is at the moment, isn't it? And with it being anonymous fellowships as well, you need to hear about it. You need to look into finding it and stuff when somebody does recommend you to that. But it's like something happens in the rooms that doesn't happen in everyday life. You know, kind of society's kind of cutthroat, isn't it? Where it's all about yourself and trying to get what you can get and stuff. And this is the exact opposite. And like you said there, Gayle, we could all do with a bit of that, didn't we? We all need connection. We all need to be able to have a safe space where we can share maybe feelings of shame or guilt or just even voice that we're struggling. you know, and it's and I just want to say as well, if you are a family member watching this on YouTube or on our social media sites, then please contact us as well, and we could signpost you to the relevant support. So thanks for that. Okay, where do you see St Mirren's role in the community of Renfrewshire?
The club historically has had a reputation of being a community club.
Definitely.
It is different, the buddies.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy for me to say that though, because I am one.
Yeah.
And I do love the club so much, genuinely. I've only got fond memories going back so long.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it is a wonderful team spirit that we have. I think from the foundation's point of view, we get to work with communities who are so grateful. When you're in disadvantaged communities and you start something, they're suspicious of that, and rightly so. You have to earn it.
Yeah.
You've got to earn it. Because this is what happens a lot, and I can see this because, again, I'm from Seed Hill. If you've ever driven through it.
I know Seed Hill.
So it's still the same. My mum still lives there with my younger brother. It's not changed. But the people are great people. But they've been promised too many things too many times. You can't just rock up and start delivering something and they're going to support it. You've got to earn their trust, and you have to be consistent in that. And they have to know that you're in it for the right reasons and that you're in it for the long term. Because football and football clubs are such a powerful engagement tool. They're like people's church almost.
Yeah.
And the great thing about getting to do the work that we do across those teams I spoke about earlier is many groups of people from our communities feel a lot more comfortable walking into a football club for support than they would walking into a building that had it labelled outside.
Yeah.
Because there's that anonymity. So as we know from the Recovery Hub, that can mean a lot if it's someone's first meeting.
Yeah.
First time deciding to ask for help. If it's someone that's hungry and they need a meal, nobody knows that's why they're walking in. If it's someone struggling with their mental health, again, nobody knows that's why they're walking in. If it's some of the ladies we deal with in menopause goals, nobody knows that's why they're walking in. That's very important. And it doesn't mean that we're diluting the work of all those great organisations out there. It means we complement it.
Yeah.
It means we bring an additional space where people, as you mentioned, feel safe. There's no stigma attached to it. But genuinely, they're more likely to be brave in that space, which is the point. Because it's just football clubs to people make them feel connected, and they make them want to share, and they find it interesting for a start.
Yeah.
And I think that role is very important. Like, football clubs' roles in the community is invaluable. It's the people sport. We know that. And although we have a very varied and eclectic mix of fans and communities, predominantly the sport is supported by people who are not affluent and who have faced many challenges growing up. And that's why it's even more important to give back in an authentic way. That helps people maintain their dignity and helps them feel empowered. So the more that we can do that and the more ways that we can create collaborations and partnership work that's really meaningful and impactful, the better.
No, exactly what you said there around about kind of, hence the reason we called it Recovery and Wellbeing Hub, you know, and we can understand, you know, recovery can cover so many areas of life. It's not just about addiction, is it? You know, mental health, recovery for mental health, physical health, whatever that looks like. But I think that kind of takes away a wee bit of the kind of stigma as well, and about well-being. Everybody can do with well-being, you know. We put on the yoga and meditation there as well. We've got a masseuse there every week and stuff. You know, MD could come in that door, couldn't they? And I think that's the kind of route we really need to go down as well, you know, regarding people struggle in a lot of different areas of life, and it's not just to do with kind of substance use as well. And as you said, look, football clubs at the hub every town, city, aren't they? You know, it's and certainly kind of St Mirren's got a really kind of long history of being a community club, even long before maybe moving to the new stadium at Love Street. I used to go to Love Street often as a young boy because I had a family member played with St Mirren and stuff, and it was just always very inviting. It was always a very inviting club, and it was really kind of interesting what you said there. People that you maybe couldn't reach in a community trust a football club in their community, don't they? And it's just the ideal place for to support people from. So that's amazing, Gayle. Okay, what more do you think we can do as a society regarding Scotland's world-renowned, famous negative relationship with alcohol and drugs? What do you feel? I'm not looking for the answers from you. I don't think MD's get the answers, but what more can we do? Because again, for the 7th or 8th year running, Scotland's got the European drug death highest statistics. The alcohol deaths come out as well, similar again, you know, massive numbers. What is it about Scotland's relationship with substances?
I've thought about this for a long time, obviously, because I reflected a lot on my family and what I experienced in my family when I was little and growing up. Because as you touched on there, recovery is about healing in general, and healing comes from when you're little.
Yeah.
Because from when you're little, whether you know it or not, there would have been some adverse childhood experiences there that have shaped you, that you may have felt were traumatic or didn't realise at the time because you're a child, but then that's then raised its ugly head when you're an adult. And you have to go back and look at it. And I've reflected on it, and obviously I think the fact that we have so many communities that are disadvantaged and facing poverty is not a coincidence.
Yeah.
The number one root of it is always poverty. So that's something as a nation we have to look at. The massive gap in earnings. How people are trying to live and survive on the salaries that they have. Dealing with housing issues, dealing with lack of opportunity. I do think that's it. But also I think as a nation we have to change our perspective on what people who have a dependency on alcohol or drugs are experiencing, and changing the narrative. I never ever let it go if somebody says to me someone's an alky or a JK or a junkie or whatever. I don't ever let that pass. I make a point of that. Yeah. Because accepting that it is an illness, and it is an illness, and it's a very serious illness. And alcohol is one of the hardest things to recover from, imaginable. One of the hardest things to give up and to abstain from. That's a big part of it. A big part of it is our culture and how we look at people like that, or we look at them but we don't see them. Yeah, that's the problem. Or we look down on them. Well, you wouldn't look down on somebody that had cancer. Yeah, it's an illness. And I've heard people turn around and go, I bet they're choosing it. It doesn't work that way, because once you're hooked, that compulsion is your only thought from when you wake to when you sleep, if you sleep, if you can sleep.
The choice gets taken away at a point.
Absolutely. And that is something that people that go to Anon struggle with. The first part is accepting that it's an illness. Really accepting it, not just saying. When you really understand that, it changes everything. And I think as a nation, if we could work on that, really understanding that part first, it would help in many, many ways.
Totally.
Because just now, we're too quick to throw that about. And we're too quick to be derogatory towards people who are dependent on alcohol or drugs, without understanding the why behind that, and where that person's come from. And why, and as we know from listening to the powerful shares that we have from your own journey, everyone's reasons for why that happened is different. Totally. But everybody has a why. Yeah. So I think being a lot more open to learning and educating yourself on that for a start. Don't be so ignorant.
Yeah.
Because again, if people are honest and they really look, they'll have to admit that someone they love or know or work with is dependent. And a lot of the time they'll say, oh, they've got a bit of an issue with. No, they don't have a bit of an issue. Yeah. They've got a real dependency. They are very ill. I think that's critical in how we as a nation then address every other point around about it.
Oh, brilliant, girl. What more can we do to support families of people affected by addiction?
I think the work that you guys are doing is probably the perfect example of this with the family services that you put on. And we know many other organisations that do that as well. And we're very lucky, well, personally in Paisley and Renfrewshire, that there are so many great recovery organisations. And we've partnered with them and they've come to the hub and they came to the launch night and they will be partners in some way going forward, no doubt. I think it's making sure that those services are signposted. How are we getting that message out to those families? Where are they hearing it from? Is it their GP practices? Is it the link workers? Are there any other ways we can do that? I think a lot of it will come down to being brave and really deciding to put the comms and the messaging out round about it publicly on social media, because not many organisations do that because they're not comfortable doing it. Because again, we've touched on this, just like it was when we first got involved with a lot of our mental health programmes. You have to be very mindful of how you're communicating those services, but you have to put them out there on a grand scale. And the easiest way to reach people now on a large scale is through social media. So it's coming up with being brave enough to do that as an organisation, talking about it, talking as much as possible as you can about it, making sure that those families are really listened to and helped. I think a lot of the time it can be, there's barriers put up. Services and support can have long waiting lists. So if they know more about organisations like yourselves, like Circle, like the ones we deal with, Recovery Collective and everything else, then they'll get that support very quickly. Or those organisations will say, this is who we would suggest you're going to. And here's information on these family support groups. There's information on Anon. Do you know about these other services, meetings, etc.? That's critical. It's actually talking and sharing the comms, talking and having the consistent messaging. Because most families, if they have a loved one, and in often cases it's more than one member of their family. I've heard shares where it's been nearly every family member. And you're just like, wow, who's supposed to cope in that set of circumstances? And how challenging must that may be? But definitely openly talking about it. And again, it's a case of a lot of the time, and we've spoken about this, the anonymity is the most important thing that people feel they can share. And if you don't want to talk about the fact that you're a member of AA or you're a member of Anon or you're a member of it, that's obviously your personal choice. But it's also very important that some people do talk about it. Because if you're not telling people, this is where I go to get help, how will they know about it?
Exactly.
That's the thing. So when it's great services like that are anonymous, someone has to talk about it. You're not breaking anyone's trust. You're being brave enough to say, no, this is what's happening in my life, and you don't have to go into detail. And I cope by X, Y, Z. That's very important. Being brave and being courageous enough to say, no, I'm totally comfortable with this. And if me talking about this helps one person find a group or helps one person take that first step, then it's worth it. Because my friend told me, and if he hadn't told me, I would have still been in the dark. And inevitably, from meeting yourself, it would have come. But certainly I wouldn't have got the help I really needed at the key times, and I wouldn't have coped with the family circumstances last year. I've only managed to get through that because of the wonderful support I get in the rooms of the fellowship.
Thanks, Gayle. Okay, so I asked you just before we started to think of 3 significant songs throughout your lifetime. Have you got? What's the first one you can think of? And this isn't particularly your 3 favourite songs or best musical songs. It's 3 significant songs that mean something to you or remind you of a time in your life.
This is very hard for me because my family are musicians. My dad was a musician. My big brother that passed was a musician. And music has always been there. We weren't a watch the telly type of family. It was always music. And when I go home, it's music on straight away. And I love many genres of music. And so to say 3 songs, so I'm going to just choose 3 for different reasons. One song that I really, really love for many reasons. I just think it's one of the most beautiful songs you can listen to because of the lyrics and the words is Raglan Road by Luke Kelly. I love that song.
Amazing.
And that will be one of the ones that I choose for my funeral. It's just, if you really, he's such an incredible vocalist. It's such a heartfelt song of love and longing and loss. And every time I hear it, I have wonderful memories of my grandfather. And our lives growing up. And he was one of my favourite people. We were kindred spirits.
Amazing.
So it's a beautiful song. In fact, if you look at my WhatsApp profile, it says on Raglan Road.
Oh, does it?
So Raglan Road would be first. And then I would say, for a moment, this isn't one I would normally say, but it's because you've asked this, it's actually triggered a memory. And it's Albatross. And it triggered a memory of actually when we were in a cord hospice in Paisley and my dad was dying. But we were all there. All of us were there. All of the siblings were there. And that was very rare because things happen in families. And sometimes people distance themselves and sometimes people take a step back and it was, we all came together at that point. And my dad loved all music. He loved Fleetwood Mac. He loved Peter Green. And we put on Albatross and we were sitting next to him and we all kind of just put our head back and just closed our eyes and listened to it. And everybody in that one moment was in the same space because we were all grateful to be together, very grateful we were all together, but all accepting that inevitable, which was really hard. But it's a beautiful moment and a great memory of, I think, what the word family actually means. So that was a great memory. And then, and this is one, I can't hear this song without thinking of him, my big brother that passed. He was a great singer, a great singer. He was in many bands over the years. We're actually working on releasing an album of his work, and one of the songs is actually called Life in a Bottle, which I'll let you hear.
Please do.
Because it's relevant to the work you do and the work we do together. But Willie, apart from being an incredible singer and a musician, he had his own business, Warm Coatings, and whenever he was plastering, he would be singing. And he would sing lots of songs over and over. He could sing anything really, but different songs. But one of the songs that he sang so well, and anytime any of us hear it, it makes us think of him, is Handbags and Glad Rags. And he would sing that and he could really sing it. It was just the perfect song for his vocal range. And I love hearing it. And every time it comes on, we all go, there's Willie. So that's a great memory. And I could choose songs for me for lots of reasons at different stages in life, but today when you asked that, that's the 3 that popped into my head.
Amazing songs. Thank you, Gayle, for coming on.
Thanks for inviting me.
Listen up. You've been an amazing guest, and it's been a real joy getting to know you and starting working in partnership with you. And I just want to thank you for being an amazing person. So thank you.
That's mutual, Eddie. I think our recent partnership it's been extraordinary and already so very rewarding in such a short period of time. And I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night's session. So thanks so much for inviting me along today to share.